Hello guys, welcome to today's video where I will be rereading the entire Hunger Games trilogy. So I read these books back in middle school, and like most things in middle school, I don't remember them. So that's why I kind of wanted to come back, reread them, and see if my opinions about them have at all changed. Today might be a longer video than most, and there will be spoilers throughout the entire vlog. So if you do not want spoilers, make sure to click away, but grab a book and read with me.
I am in Montana right now, so on the flight here, I read about like 100 pages. So I'm on page 103, I think, of the first book. I have the book with me, and basically what has happened so far is the iconic I volunteer as tribute scene. They have just basically had their first few days of training in the Capitol. I'm gonna maybe read some more. If not, I don't know. I will sleep. It's midnight already, so I should probably sleep. It's the next day. Last night I read about 40 pages. I think I'm on like 140, 138, something in that area. And I also sound a little sick, because I am. I am now at the point where Katniss has shot the arrow at the game makers, and then she got her number, and she was 11. Of course she was, because she's Miss Katniss Everdeen. See you tonight, probably, when I read some more. I am gonna go eat some dinner. It's time to read. I am just about to get to like the next part 2, the games. I'm excited because they're gonna start each other. Okay. So I just got to the part where we find out that Peeta is in the alliance with all of the career tributes. So the drama is dramaing. Katniss is betrayed and thinks he's dumb. Okay, hello. Today I've read to basically page 194. I'm on chapter 15. I think what I last ended the night reading was right before the fire that the game makers make happens. And then I've read basically what happens after the fire, Katniss figuring out that like her leg is injured, and then her running into the carriers, and then climbing up the tree and cutting the tracker jackers. I think that's what they're called. The tracker jacker nest down and killing Glimmer. Hopefully I'll read 2 or 3 chapters tonight. I am kind of tired though, so I might pass out. But I am going on the airplane tomorrow, so hopefully I will get a good chunk of this read and hopefully finished by tomorrow. Okay, don't mind my ugly appearance, but we just landed in Orange County. I know I said in the clip before that I was going to try to read a big chunk of the Hunger Games on the plane, but I then followed that up with taking a, let's say, a happy pill and sleeping the entire plane ride, so no pages were read at all. Wish me luck on finishing this book. I think I have like about 100 pages left, so that's something I can definitely knock out by tomorrow. And yeah, I know I'm about to get to the brew scene, which I've been freaking dragging out for God knows how long. I'll keep you guys updated with how much I read today and if I cry. Which will probably most likely happen. It happened. I have given myself a few minutes to recuperate. I've been sobbing for like 20 minutes. I just got it together, watched a little bit of Cody Co. I'm a little bit better now. I love the relationship that we see between Katniss and Rue, and like just being able to see how much Katniss sees her sister in Rue, but also like how different they are too. It's just like a really beautiful relationship, and like it's also just like such a catalyst for Katniss's character throughout the whole trilogy. I feel like it's like such a big turning point for her and like who she is and what she fights for. My Rue, my Rue, my Rue. I love her so much.
I'm going to finish this chapter and then probably go to bed, and then I'll definitely be done with this book by tomorrow.
Today I'm going to finish The Hunger Games. That's my goal. I'm on page 268. So I only have this much left. I think it's about like 70 pages. So we're going to finish it, and I'll let you know my thoughts once it's done. Alright guys, so I just finished The Hunger Games in the last clip. I think I told you I was going to finish it, and then I finished it. And yeah, at the end of the video, I will be like rating each book, but right now I kind of just wanted to like tell you my thoughts and then some of my favorite quotes. Obviously, The Hunger Games is iconic for a reason. Suzanne Collins knows how to write action and description and inner thoughts really, really well in such a concise and direct way. And although this is like a YA novel, and it's definitely written in a YA form, specifically like how direct she is and the lack of like fluffy descriptions that are like completely unnecessary, which you see in a lot of YA, she is able to not just touch the surface with her quote-unquote simplistic writing style, but she really dives deep, and that's why I love her writing so much. It doesn't just feel simple, like she's just telling us what's happening. Everything feels so purposeful, and that's why these books hit so hard. So I obviously can't pick just one quote that I like the most out of this book, so I'm going to read you a few that I really liked. One of the quotes that I really like in this book. It's page 68, and it's when Katniss is realizing that Peeta is a little bit smarter than she thought he was, which also means that kind Peeta Malark, the boy who gave me the bread, is fighting hard to kill me. I just love every time Suzanne Collins writes the boy who gave me the bread. It hits so hard every time. And this quote I really love because it really just tells you how much Katniss has like grown to love Rue and see Rue as not just this girl that reminds her of Prim, but as a girl that's like her own person and has made her own impact on Katniss. And I come to know Rue, the oldest of 6 kids, fiercely protective of her siblings, who gives her rations to the younger ones, who forages in the meadows in a district where peacekeepers are far less obliging than ours. Rue, who when you ask her what she loves most in the world, she replies, of all things, music. I just think that's so well written. Now that I'm done with The Hunger Games, I am moving on to Catching Fire, which is probably my favorite book out of the 3, so I'm very excited to reread and, like I said before, see what I missed when I first read it in middle school. It is time to begin Catching Fire. Yesterday I read to page 8, so didn't get much of a dent in, but hopefully today I'm hoping I can get maybe 50% of the way in. I don't have much planned, so I think it would be fun to just sit and read this for the day. I just got to chapter 8 in Catching Fire, and this is the scene where Gale is like basically like tied up to like the whipping post, and he's getting whipped, and Katniss gets in the middle of it, and then she in turn gets whipped. I just wanted to ditch you because I feel like the scene is so like intense, and Suzanne Collins writes this scene specifically really well, creating like the tension between like starting to create this like tension between the peacekeepers, Katniss, just where we start to begin to see the fall of District 12. Something about this part of the book, between the announcement of the Quarter Quell and then like going into the games, you just see this strengthening of relationship between Katniss and Haymitch that I love so much. Also, I love this part of the book because you just see how much Katniss is still a kid. She feels this need to be strong for her mom and her sister, but then she ultimately just breaks down crying. I'm gonna keep reading. Sorry for that little tangent. We slightly just got our first glimpse of Joanna and Finnick.
So they are watching like the recap of the readings and seeing who was picked. So Joanna, and then Finnick from District 4, and the brother and sister duo from District 1. Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm on page 192, so I'm a little past halfway. Alright, so I don't know where I last updated you guys. I've read a pretty big chunk. I am now on page 234, and they've basically started training. We've met all of the different victors from every district that were chosen. I've actually marked up this book much more than I marked up Hunger Games, just because there's some really good quotes of Katniss being a baddie. Specifically, the scene when they're throwing the like fake birds up in the air and she just like hits them all down, and everybody is just like sitting there like, oh my god, I want her. I'm like, yes, you do want her. Alright, so we just made it to part 3. Cinna just was killed, so that's always a really sad scene. But once again, it's just another catalyst for Katniss's character. We're getting into the actual games, and as Haymitch reminded Katniss, she needs to remember who the actual enemy is here. Alright, so we're right at the scene where the fog comes in and starts blistering Katniss. So we're nearing the end, and Katniss is starting to like put the pieces together, so we're almost done. We're like 100 pages left, so these 100 pages are like jam-packed with like action though, so I'm excited. Look at Bitsy, she is chilling with me while I read. She's the best reading partner, really helping me through this. I'm gonna keep reading, and hopefully I'm done when I talk to you guys next. I just finished Catching Fire. It is 11 p.m. so I'm gonna go to bed, and tomorrow we'll do a little recap and talk about it. Alright guys, it is time to talk about Catching Fire. So when I had first read this series, Catching Fire was my favorite book in the series, and although I have yet to reread Mockingjay yet, I think I like Catching Fire better than Hunger Games. I don't know. It's just, like I kind of said at the beginning of when I started reading this, Catching Fire just introduces you to some of my favorite characters, and like we learn a lot more about some of my favorite characters. Like we learn so much more about Haymitch and his games, and like why Haymitch is kind of the way he is, and then we meet Finnick and we meet Joanna, and I don't know. I just absolutely love this book. So like the last one, I just want to give you like some of the little quotes that I thought were my favorite. One of my favorite ones is page 178. Katniss and Haymitch are like having like a conversation about PETA, and Haymitch goes, "You could live 100 lifetimes and not deserve him, you know." It just like that rips me apart, because it is, PETA just loves Katniss so much, and everybody else notices it, and Katniss sometimes doesn't, and oh. This is another one where I'm like, this is why I'm Team PETA. He says, "I wish I could freeze this moment right here, right now, and live in it forever." And then she goes, like a little bit more dialogue, and then she'll go, "I'll allow it." Yeah, so I just chucked that book. Okay, we're gonna get into Mockingjay now, and I'll see you guys when I start reading in the next clip. Hey guys, so I just took a shower. I am about 50 pages into Mockingjay, and yeah, so basically what we've seen so far is Katniss assimilating into the daily life of living in District 13. We saw the video of PETA, so Katniss knows that PETA's alive, where he calls for a ceasefire. It makes everybody angry, but then to agree to the Mockingjay, Katniss says, you have to pardon Peeta, Joanna, the Victor from District 2, I forget her name, and Annie. I think the beginning of Mockingjay is a little bit tougher for me to jump into than the other two, because I think Catching Fire ends on such big action and big things happening, and then Mockingjay is kind of slower and we are learning a lot of information. It's a little bit tougher to get into, but it's still good, obviously, because her writing is so easy to digest, but it is a little bit harder to get into than the other two. We are now on part 2, The Assault. We saw the second airing of Peeta, and he basically, at the end of it, gets, like, beat up, and you can see, like, his blood splatter across the white tiles. So yeah, it's getting even more, like, ramped up on action and, like, things going on. It's getting jam-packed, so let's do this. So, as you saw in the last clip, I'm at the part of Mockingjay where Peeta has been brought back to District 13. We learn about what they did to him in the Capitol, and how he's basically, like, he kind of, like, hates Katniss right now, and, like, doesn't even see her as a human. He even says, like, she's a mutant, like, she's not even human. This moment really hurts me a lot. You probably saw in the reaction to the last clip. It's just, like, painful, because, like, Peeta doesn't love Katniss the same way anymore. I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow. I keep saying that, and I keep not doing it, so maybe one time I'll actually finish it the next day. Alright guys, it's the next day. I'm gonna give you a little update on what I read last night. I got to the scene where Katniss got shot, and then I am now at the chapter just ended, where Peeta and Katniss basically get to have, like, their first conversation together since Peeta's returned and is a little bit more lucid. But yeah, gonna keep reading today. I have just a little bit left to go, about like 150 pages, so I think I can do it. I think I can do it today. Cut to the reading montage. As you saw, I just read Boggs dying, so that's sad. But not as sad as the deaths that are to come in the next 80 pages, so. Finally done with the Hunger Games. I'm gonna need the night to recuperate, and then I will come back tomorrow and give you the whole spiel on my thoughts on the whole series and what I rate each book. Alright guys, so we made it to the end of this video, and we have read all 3 of these books. It took about like 3 weeks to read it, mostly because of Mockingjay, like many of you may know. Mockingjay is a little bit slow. So we're going to go through all 3 of them. I'll give you my ratings, and I will try to be succinct. I'll believe it when I see it, though, because I like to ramble. Hunger Games, after sitting on it for about 3 weeks, I am going to rate this a 4.75. I don't know why, it just doesn't give me a 5-star feeling. I just love Suzanne Collins' writing in this book. You know where everybody is at all times, and she writes action in such a way that, like, you don't get confused or lost like I tend to do in a lot of, like, fantasy dystopian books. Also, added on to that, what I think I missed a lot in middle school was like the nuances of Peeta and Katniss's relationship. And I think reading it now that I'm older, I think you just get such a deeper understanding of where the relationship came from and why it had so much turmoil around it, because I feel like I never really understood. I think now I understand the nuance that like it wasn't just about like who likes who. There's like so much other shit going on that like the romance is not the priority for this girl. Another thing that I want to point out for all three of these books is that these books are such a scary possibility and very much potential possibility of where our world can go. And I think I understood that in middle school, but I did not really understand how much these books are like the future for America. And I think everybody needs to read these Hunger Games because it is so relevant to what's going on in our world right now. So the next book, Catching Fire, I'm going to be rating Catching Fire a 5 stars. It gives me the 5-star feeling when I finished it. I absolutely love every character in this, well, not every character, but I love Finnick, I love Joanna. Obviously, Katniss and Peeta's relationship in this book just goes through so many emotions, with Peeta trying to save Katniss, Katniss trying to save Peeta, and just, I think their relationship is just at their peak in this book. Alright, Mockingjay. I think I'm going to rate this 4 stars. If I sit on it a little longer, I don't know if it's going to go down. This book really drags. Beginning and middle really was hard for me to get through. Not that it was bad, not that the plot wasn't good, it just was not moving as fast as Hunger Games and Catching Fire does, and I think it just took me a long time of like trying to chug through it to really like get that feeling of like, ooh, I'm obsessed now. And I wish it kind of delved deeper into that internal turmoil that every character is kind of going through. Not my favorite in the series, but it's still a good book, obviously, and after reading this, I have felt quite empty inside. Thank you guys for joining me on this reread of The Hunger Games. It was really fun for me to look back and see what I missed in middle school. It just gives me a whole new appreciation for The Hunger Games. And if you guys want me to read The Songbirds, what is it called? Songbirds and Snakes? I watched the movie, I did not read the book. So if you guys want me to read that book, I would love to and do a reading vlog for it. And yeah, some more content will be coming out shortly. And I will see you next week. Bye!